First story. My boyfriend was so confident, so I made fun of his size in front of his bully. He sulked and refused any intimacy, so I told him he should be grateful I'm still with him and thank me for even hyping him all this time. Now I'm regretting my actions. So I 28F have been with my boyfriend 29M for just over 3 years. We've lived together for about a year and a half. For the most part, we have a great relationship. He's caring, attentive, and really emotionally in tune. Sexually, we're compatible, no complaints in that department at all. Actually, he's probably the most generous partner I've had. But I'll admit we have very different senses of humor. I've always been more sarcastic, a little dark sometimes, and I love to roast the people I'm closest to. He, on the other hand, is more sensitive and kind of avoids conflict. That contrast has caused minor friction before, but nothing major. Now, there's this one thing about him that's always made both of us laugh in private. His pee-pee is wildly small when it's flaccid, like comically small. It's not a problem when we're actually doing anything. He's a solid 7 inches when hard, and I'm more than satisfied. But soft. It shrinks down to maybe 2 inches, like a little button. We've joked about it in bed. I've called it turtle mode, and he usually just laughs and shrugs it off. However, and this is where the context starts to matter, he's always been a little weird about N-Diddy around other guys. Like in gym locker rooms, he's the guy who keeps his towel on or changes quickly. I once asked why, and he admitted he hated how small he looks when he's not erect. He told me that back in high school, and even in college, some guys would comment or snicker in the locker room. He never told me it traumatized him or anything, but it clearly bugged him. I thought he was over it. I mean, we're adults. Who's still obsessed with DCK sizes at 30? But I guess I underestimated how much it still sticks with him. Fast forward to this past weekend. We had a casual dinner party with friends at our place. Just a group of 6'2" couples we're close with, and his friend Jake, who he goes to the gym with. At some point after dinner, we decided to play a game we've done before, where everyone writes anonymous answers to silly prompts, and we guess who wrote what. Think of it like Cards Against Humanity, but DIY. The prompts are random stuff like, worst movie ever, things that would get you cancelled, weirdest food combo you love, etc. One of the prompts pulled was, things that are short. And without overthinking, I wrote down, my boyfriend's PP. Now, let me just say I honestly didn't think it was a big deal. We've joked about it so many times in private. I assumed it was just another roast. We were all drinking. People were being wild and inappropriate with their answers. One guy wrote, my first marriage. Someone else put, Jake's attention span. So it felt on theme, you know? Anyway, the papers get read out loud. And when mine comes up, the room bursts into laughter. Like, people are wheezing. Jake immediately cracks up and says, oh my God, that has to be you, right? And points at me. I smirked and just kind of shrugged. My boyfriend laughed along, not a big laugh, more like a chuckle, and said, okay, you got me. It seemed like he was taking it well. Then Jake, his gym buddy, claps him on the back and goes, hey, we've all seen it, bro. We still love you. And the room exploded again. My boyfriend smiled, but I swear there was something tight in it. He got quieter after that, and I noticed he didn't say much for the rest of the game. After people left and we cleaned up, he sat down and kind of deflated. I thought he was just tired, but then he said, hey, can I tell you something without you getting defensive? I said, sure. And then he told me that the joke really bothered him. He said that it wasn't just a one-off, it played right into something that he's felt ashamed about for a long time. That the guys at the gym, especially Jake, have joked behind his back before, and that he always felt like he couldn't respond, because denying it would just make it worse, and confirming it would be humiliating. He told me that he's spent years trying to just laugh it off and pretend it doesn't get to him, but it does. And then he said that coming from me, the one person he thought would never make him feel small like that, it hurt in a different way. He wasn't yelling or anything. He just looked disappointed, tired. That honestly made me feel like garbage. I told him I was sorry, that I didn't mean to embarrass him. I tried to explain that I thought we were past that kind of insecurity, and that he knew I didn't mean it to be cruel. He nodded and said he believed me, but added, still, I wish you hadn't said it, especially in front of Jake. The thing is, I do feel bad. But I also think maybe he's blowing it out of proportion a little. Like, this is a guy who's teased me before too. Not in cruel ways, just stuff like calling me hangry gremlin when I'm cranky or joking that I snore like a freight train. I never took it personally. I've always believed that in relationships, if you can't laugh at each other sometimes, what's even the point? And more importantly, it's not like I lied. He really does have a micro softie. He knows that. He's never pretended otherwise. And I made the joke in a setting where everyone was roasting each other. It's not like I dropped the bomb in front of his parents or coworkers. These are our closest friends, people who already knew we joke around like that. Anyway, the next morning everything seemed fine. He kissed me goodbye, said he forgave me, and even joked, "Better keep your mouth shut next time, smartarse," before heading to the gym. So I assumed we'd moved past it. But later that day, one of the other friends texted me, like, "Hey, I don't think he took that joke as lightly as he let on. Maybe check in with him again," which caught me off guard. I didn't realize other people even noticed something was off. So later that day, I brought it up again because of that text. I wasn't trying to stir anything, I just said, "Hey, I heard maybe you were still thinking about last night. Are you sure we're good?" He paused for a second and said we were good. But the way he said it made it clear he was still thinking about it. He told me it just sucked, because he's tried so hard to not let the locker room stuff get to him. He said he thought he was finally past it. And then I made the joke in front of the exact guy who's made jokes about him before. He said it felt like I joined the group laughing at him, instead of being the person who understands him. I just sat there because I honestly didn't know what to say. I had already apologized. I didn't do it to attack him. It wasn't premeditated or cruel. It was one line in a dumb card game. And it's not like I broadcasted something private. The dude has already been seen in the locker room. They already knew. I told him all of that. His response was basically, "Yeah, but coming from you made it different." And I get that on paper. But I also think he is giving this way too much meaning. I didn't betray him. I didn't insult something he can control. And I didn't do it after he asked me not to. This wasn't like I ignored a boundary. If anything, I assumed the boundary was loose because of how often we laugh about it in private. For context, this isn't the first time he's reacted like this to something lighthearted. About 6 months ago, we were at a bar with friends, and someone asked how we met. I made a joke that he was so nervous on our first date, he knocked over his water glass, which actually did happen. He laughed in the moment, but later told me he wished I hadn't told people that because it made him seem awkward. It was the same tone. "I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but it still got to me." And before that, he got annoyed when I posted a photo of him making a goofy face to my Instagram story. Not even anything embarrassing. Just him mid-bite at a diner. He asked me to delete it because he didn't like how he looked in it. I deleted it, fine. But I remember feeling like he takes himself too seriously sometimes. Like everything has to be curated and careful. It feels like we're just wired differently. I don't attach emotional weight to random teasing. To me, teasing means closeness. It means comfort. It means we're close enough to not walk on eggshells. I tease the people I care about most. If someone roasted me at a party, even about something I'm insecure about, I would still laugh first because the intention matters more than the literal words. And I've told him that before, that humor is a love language for me. That affection isn't only compliments and kisses. Sometimes affection is calling your partner a dumbarse with a smile. That's just how I grew up. My family teases constantly. If you can't take a joke in my family, you get eaten alive. I genuinely never learned to see teasing as cruelty. So when he reacts like this, it makes me feel policed. Like, I have to think through every sentence before I speak, so I don't accidentally trigger one of his insecurities. And I don't want to be the kind of partner who has to tiptoe around my own boyfriend. That sounds exhausting long term. He's not wrong for having insecurities. Everyone has something. But I don't think my job as a partner is to constantly reinforce this narrative that he must be guarded and protected from anyone knowing about his body. Especially something so normal. Bodies are weird. Literally everyone has something off. And it's not like he is actually small where it counts. Our sex life is great. He's confident there. So why should the in-between part matter this much? Also, not to sound rude, but guys in locker rooms act like they're starring in a documentary. No one cares as much as men think others care. Jake's jokes? That's just guys being guys. They roast each other constantly. I don't think Jake actually believes my boyfriend is defined by his flaccid size. The whole friend group have made worse jokes about each other. For example, one guy got teased for his bald spot for an entire year. Another got joked about for having a high-pitched sneeze. Someone else has been called milk crate chest because he's shaped narrow. It's not some targeted bullying. It's just how the group interacts. But because this insecurity hits him personally, suddenly it's a different category. And I just don't really buy that distinction. If you participate in banter, you participate in banter. That's how I see it. Anyway, after that second talk, we dropped it. He said he forgave me again and didn't want to drag it out. But now the vibe is weird. Like, he hugged me goodnight. But it was one of those half hugs. He didn't cuddle like usual. Just rolled to his side. The next morning, he was polite but quiet. He didn't make a joke. He didn't kiss my forehead like he usually does. He just said, "See you later." I tried to ask if he was upset again, and he said no. He just needed to sit with his feelings. And I'm going to be blunt. I hate that phrase. To me, it translates to, I'm going to hold on to this and treat you differently, but never actually get over it. It feels like an emotional cold shoulder in polite packaging. So now I'm here. I still don't think what I did was that bad. I apologized. I acknowledged his feelings. But I do not regret the joke itself. I don't think I should have to walk around scared of mentioning something that is literally just a physical trait. And I know Reddit is usually super protective of male vulnerability and all that, so maybe I'll get roasted for this. But I honestly think he needs to toughen up a bit. If I can handle jokes about my insecurities, and I have plenty, then so can he. But maybe I'm missing something. AITA. Comments. Comment 1. YTA. I'm stunned at how casual you are about humiliating someone who trusted you. Publicly mocking your partner's genitals, of all things when you know he's been bullied about it, is cold as hell. That's not banter. That's betrayal with a punchline. You're acting like because he laughs in private, it gives you license to air it in public. No, consent to a joke in one context is not consent in all contexts. And that Jake comment. That wasn't just locker room bros doing their thing, that was a guy waiting for permission to mock your boyfriend with backup. And you handed it to him. On a silver platter. You keep defending yourself by saying you don't find teasing personal. That's fine for you. He's made it clear this particular thing is personal for him. It's his soft spot, no pun intended. Your inability to draw that line says more about your emotional intelligence than his sensitivity. This wasn't just mean. It was lazy, cruel, and worst of all, avoidable. You owe him a lot more than, "I'm sorry you feel that way." Comment 2. Yeah, big fat YTA. And not for the joke alone, but for the way you're downplaying it and talking about him like he's a fragile little flower for having basic boundaries. Here's the thing. You could have easily spun that moment with any number of damage control moves. Like someone else said, a quick, "He's a grower" line, or even laughing and going, "Joke's on you, he wrecks me." But you didn't. You left him hanging while his gym friend humiliated him to his face. You were quiet. That silence was louder than anything else that happened. And your whole attitude after. You think because you'd laugh off a boob joke or a bad angle pic, everyone else should too. That's narcissistic. Empathy is understanding that not everyone sees the world through your lens. He didn't blow up. He didn't insult you. He came to you respectfully, and you decided to gaslight him into thinking he was overreacting. He's not the problem here. You are. 100%. Comment 3. Nah, OP's not the arsehole her boyfriend's just not built for banter. He wants all the benefits of a partner who's fun and chill, but also expects her to walk on eggshells around his very special insecurity. Like, damn, bro, if your soft DCK haunts you that much, get therapy. The world is full of way worse problems. Everyone's got a thing they're weird about. I've got a crooked nose. My girl jokes about it all the time. Guess what? I laugh because I know she loves me, and it's not that serious. That's what being emotionally resilient looks like. If he's getting roasted by gym bros, that's his SHT to handle. Don't make it her fault, just because she didn't read the room perfectly for once. He forgave her twice, and is still sulking. Come on, man. At some point, you stop being the victim and start being a passive-aggressive grudge holder. Either talk it out and move on, or admit you want to be with someone who'll pretend your DCK magically doesn't shrink when it's cold. Grow up. Both of them, honestly. But mostly him. Update. So, it's been a week. And I wish I could say things have gone back to normal, but they haven't. He hasn't been cold or passive-aggressive. But it's like someone shut the lights off in our relationship. He talks to me, answers my questions, and eats dinner with me, but it's all surface level. No banter, no teasing, no spontaneous kisses or flirty side comments. Nothing that made us us. At first, I told myself he was just tired, or maybe still embarrassed. So I tried to lighten the mood the way I always do. I climbed into his lap one night, while we were watching TV, and kissed his neck. Normally he'd laugh and toss the remote. Instead, he gently moved me off and said, "Not tonight." I asked what was wrong. He sighed and said, "I just don't feel connected to you right now." I won't lie, that pissed me off a little. I told him I'd already apologized twice, and that he said he forgave me. What more was I supposed to do? He said, I did forgive you. I'm not mad. But it still changed how I feel. That part really stuck with me. I was frustrated and snapped a little. Like, I hype you up all the time. You're lucky I even talk about your DCK this positively. Most girls don't say half the stuff I say about their partner in bed. His face went completely blank. He said, wow, that's what this is about. You think I should be grateful you talked about my PP in public because it wasn't negative enough? I told him no, but that he was acting like I dragged him on national TV. I said, I compliment you constantly. I've told you how great sex with you is. I've made it clear I love your body. One offhand joke shouldn't outweigh all of that. And then he said, but it did. Because it wasn't just a joke. It was a reminder that even the one person who knows how insecure I am still saw it as fair game to laugh at me in front of people. That's when I got mad. I said, this sounds like you've got some real self-esteem issues. Have you thought about talking to someone? Like, maybe therapy? I didn't say it to be cruel. I really thought I was being helpful. But the way he looked at me after like I just punched him in the chest, I realized I'd F'd up again. He said, I wasn't asking you to fix me. I just wanted you to understand. We didn't talk for the rest of the night. The next morning, I woke up to a text from him, even though he was in the next room saying, can you please not bring up anything personal about me around our friends anymore, even as a joke? That hit me wrong. It felt like he was issuing rules instead of having a conversation. I replied, I don't say anything about you that I wouldn't laugh about if it were me. You're making this way more serious than it needs to be. No reply. Later that night, I tried again to fix the vibe. I apologized again. I told him I didn't mean to make him feel small, that I loved him, and thought he was the easiest guy I'd ever been with. His response was, you keep saying that. But if you respected how I felt, we wouldn't be having the same conversation 3 times. I asked, so what? You want to break up because I made one joke that hit a nerve? He didn't say yes. But he also didn't say no. He just said, I don't know what I want right now. The worst part? I started to feel like I was the one walking on eggshells. I couldn't joke, couldn't flirt, and couldn't even tease about something totally unrelated without him going stiff. So yeah, I tested the waters and okay, maybe that was SHTTY. But I needed to see if he was ever going to loosen up again. We were at a small dinner thing with a couple of friends, nothing major, and someone made a comment about taking forever to get ready. I laughed and said, oh please, this one takes 10 minutes just to fix his hairline. He didn't laugh. Didn't even look at me. Just stood up and went to the bathroom. When he came back, he acted like nothing happened. But when we got home, he barely spoke. I confronted him. Told him I felt like I couldn't be myself anymore without risking a shutdown. That he used to love my jokes and sarcasm, and now he was acting like I was some cruel bully. He said something like, I didn't change. I just finally saw that you don't know the difference between being funny and being careless. 2 days later, he packed a bag and said he was going to stay with his brother for a bit. He left his keys. Didn't say how long he'd be gone. Told me not to contact him for a few days. He said he needed to decide if this is something he can actually move past. I feel numb. I genuinely never meant to hurt him. I thought I was being real, authentic, and even affectionate in my own way. I still don't think I'm a monster. But I'm starting to realize maybe I was way more dismissive than I had any right to be. I don't know what's going to happen next. If he comes back, I want to fix it. But I honestly don't know if the damage is done. Comments. Comment 1. I'm not saying this to be mean, but girl, you're not funny. Like, not in the way you think you are. You keep saying stuff like, we always roast each other, and I'm sarcastic like that justifies everything. But there's a difference between being quick-witted and using jokes as cover for never showing vulnerability. Your boyfriend tried to have a raw, honest moment with you multiple times, and you just kept slapping a meme on it. And then when he pulls away, your brain doesn't go, oh, I hurt him. It goes, why isn't he being fun anymore? He's not a therapist. He doesn't owe you emotional grace while you repeatedly cross his boundaries. Maybe he does have low self-esteem, but you clearly aren't helping it. If anything, you made it worse, then judged him for being impacted. If he doesn't come back, let him go. And next time, maybe ask yourself why you think being real means being cruel. Comment 2. This update just cemented that you weren't joking to be funny. You were joking to be superior. You should be grateful I talk positively about your DCK. Holy SHT, do you hear yourself? Imagine if he said, "You should be thankful I still have as ex with you, even with your stomach rolls." You'd lose your goddamn mind. And rightfully so. You're not wrong that humor can be bonding. But you don't have humor, you have control dressed up in sarcasm. You push and push until someone flinches, then say, "It was a joke." That's not how healthy teasing works. Your boyfriend didn't just lose trust. He lost emotional safety. And if you're still trying to win this like it's a debate, he's better off staying gone. Comment 3. You had so many chances to just be like, "Wow, I didn't realize that hit so deep, and I won't do that again." Instead, you tried to fix it with his ex. Then when that didn't work, you threw the equivalent of, "I do so much for you," in his face like you're keeping score. You should be grateful I hype you up. That sentence alone says everything. Also, sending someone to therapy isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card. He wasn't asking you to fix him. He was asking you to stop minimizing him. You couldn't even give him that. He walked because he had no safe place left, not even with you. Update. I didn't expect to be writing again, but a lot has happened, and I guess I need to get it out. Some of you asked for updates back when everything was still fresh and confusing. Now it's something else entirely. So, after he left to stay with his brother, things were quiet for about a week. I didn't reach out because he asked for space, and I wanted to respect that. When he finally texted asking if we could talk, I honestly thought that was the "okay, we're fine now" moment. He came back home the next evening. He didn't look angry or upset, just tired. We talked for hours. He explained again how the joke made him feel, how the follow-up comments cut deeper than I understood in the moment, and how the aftermath made him feel like he couldn't trust me with the parts of himself he was insecure about. I repeated again that I never meant to hurt him, and that the last thing I wanted was to be his enemy. We agreed to try again. Things didn't snap back instantly, but they did slowly get better. He started laughing with me again and started being affectionate again. We got back into our routines, making breakfast together, watching shows, and going to bed at the same time. Even his ex went back to normal after a couple more weeks. It genuinely felt like we had made it through something heavy, like a real couple who can fight and survive it. We traveled. We had inside jokes again. We were having sex regularly, and we had weekends where we stayed in bed until 1 p.m. If someone had asked me then, I would have said we were stronger than ever. Then one night, and I swear I didn't mean anything by it, we were in bed cuddling, and I made a comment. Not even a harsh one. Something like, "I still think you overreacted to that whole thing, but I'm glad we worked through it." I said it lightly. I said it smiling. He froze. Completely. Like someone hit pause. He sat up and said, very calmly, "I didn't overreact. I told you how I felt. You just didn't want to hear it." I laughed because I thought we were safe enough to joke. I said, "Okay, but it was a little dramatic. I mean, almost breaking up over a flaccid DCK joke? Come on." He didn't say a word. He just stood up and left the room. The next morning, he told me he couldn't do it anymore. Hearing me say that after everything made him realize that the entire last few months of healing was just him trying to convince himself, I actually understood him. He said, "You didn't change. You just waited it out." And then he packed for real. Not for a break, for good. He took his stuff, called his brother, and left while I sat on the couch in a blanket, trying to understand what had just happened. It all felt incredibly sudden to me, even though he insisted it wasn't sudden at all. I didn't beg. I didn't chase. I honestly thought he would cool off and come back again. But he didn't. We went fully no contact. No texting, no calling, nothing. I didn't run into him for months, and when I finally did at a grocery store, he barely made eye contact. He gave a short nod and kept walking like I was a former coworker or something. And then last week happened. He posted a picture on Instagram of him and a girl, his new girlfriend. He looked happy. Like genuinely happy. Like I never existed. And I wasn't prepared for how hard that hit. My whole chest went cold. I went through the comments like an idiot. People were congratulating him. Saying they were cute. Saying, "You look good, man." His sister commented a heart emoji. His mum commented, "Beautiful couple." I spiraled. It wasn't jealousy towards her. I don't hate her. She didn't do anything. But I felt anger so sharp, it literally made my hands shake. Anger that he could move on. Anger that he got to walk away clean, while I'm the one still replaying every second. Anger that he didn't even look back. Anger that he got to be the one who left. I keep running into him now at the gym, in the coffee shop, at the grocery store. We live in the same city. He barely reacts. Sometimes he nods. Sometimes he looks past me like I'm just another person in the aisle. Like we didn't spend 3 years together. Like I didn't know the way he breathes when he sleeps. It's surreal how someone can be your entire everyday life and then become a background extra. I know people here will say I was the problem, that I didn't empathize enough, that I minimized him, that I didn't get it. And maybe all of that is true. But also, I don't want a relationship where every joke is a landmine. I want someone who can laugh with me, who doesn't hold everything like a wound. So yes, I'm hurting. But I'm also realizing maybe we were not built for each other. And maybe the breakup was necessary. I need to move on. I need to find someone who isn't carrying insecurity like a live wire under their skin. Someone who doesn't break from a joke. Someone who matches me. I'm still grieving. But I'm not sorry anymore. Comments. Comment 1. I'll be real with you. I actually sympathized with you in the first post. I have a similar sense of humor. I roast my partner. We tease each other constantly. But the difference is, we both know where the lines are. And if he ever told me I crossed one, I'd effing listen. Not argue. Not deflect. Not say, you should be thankful I hype you up. That part made me cringe so hard. What you call banter sounded more like you needed to feel superior in the relationship to feel safe. Which is its own kind of insecurity, TBH. And instead of sitting with that, you just kept poking at him until he walked. I don't think you're a monster. I think you're emotionally immature. And I think, deep down, you know you messed this up. That's why seeing him with someone else hurts. Because he healed without you. Comment 2. I think what happened here is honestly just a mismatch of values. You never actually saw him not fully. You saw who he was when he was good at playing your game. When he didn't push back. When he laughed at the things you laughed at. The second he said, hey, this hurt me, you took it as a threat to your identity. And you did what so many people do, you pathologized him. Made him the sensitive one, the one with issues, instead of just admitting you weren't a safe person for him emotionally. The most telling thing in your whole update was that you're more mad that he looked happy than anything else. You weren't trying to fix the relationship. You were trying to win. And now that he's not yours anymore, you can't fathom how he survived you. That's the part you're grieving, not the person. Comment 3. It's honestly wild how even after all this time, you're still making him the problem. You talk about how you were left grieving, how you still feel angry, and how he looked happy, and that made your chest go cold, but girl, he didn't just wake up one day and decide to leave you. He tried. He communicated. He told you what he needed, and you weaponized your patience and called it support. The way you said that line again, it was just a joke in bed, while cuddling. That's not cluelessness. That's pure ego. That was you needing to rewrite the narrative, so you wouldn't have to sit with the fact that you broke him down. You keep saying you want someone who can take a joke. No. You want someone who'll tolerate being disrespected and call it love. That's not the same thing. Second story. My boyfriend of 8 years is great, but he won't propose to me. I've already given him 2 ultimatums, and I don't want to give another and risk ruining an otherwise great relationship. I've been with my boyfriend for 8.5 years, and we've been living together at his apartment for 5 years. Like any long relationship, we've had our ups and downs, but in the last 2 years, everything has been great. I know he is my person, and I am his. He's a great guy not just to me, but to friends, family and strangers, cares a lot about me, shows affection, communicates well, has financially supported me while I finished my degree, and we have a great time together, both on a daily life basis and on special events like travels and all. We pretty much are already living a married life without kids, but that alone doesn't fulfill my dream of marriage. I want a celebration of our love. I want to share this moment with our friends and family. I want to be a bride and plan this major life event with him, and I have voiced this to him a few times. A few years back, he was unsure of our future together, but we worked on our relationship and are in a great place. So now when I talk about planning a wedding and marriage, he seems to be on board with it. At least he entertains my thoughts, but so far I haven't seen a ring. I've kind of given him 2 ultimatums. I won't invest any money in buying a bigger place together. If we're not married, we've been cramped in his bachelor pad for the last 5 years and are getting tired of it. And I won't celebrate double digits of being boyfriend and girlfriend. But even that seems like too long of a stretch now. But honestly, I don't think I have the courage to walk out of an otherwise perfect relationship. So I just keep dragging this and building resentment with every anniversary. With every time I see the surprised faces of people who ask how long we've been dating, and with every wedding of people in our circle. I just feel stuck, while everyone else around us is moving on with their lives. How do I get him to finally propose, or at least admit he won't ever do it, so I can be free of these bad feelings of uncertainty? TLDR. I've been with my boyfriend for 8 years, living together for 5 years. We love each other and live a happy life together. I want to move forward with our relationship and get married, but he won't propose, and I'm getting tired of waiting. How do I get out of this limbo place? Edit for clarification, and things that have come up in the comments. I'm not from the US, so maybe it's a wedding culture thing there. But where I'm from, we just love a good party, any party. When the reason for it is to celebrate the love and union of two people, it really brings people together in a very unique way. It always gets me emotional, even as just a guest. That's what I love about it and dream of having as a bride. There's nothing to do with having a big fancy event to post on social media and live my Disney princess dreams. Even the ring thing, I was talking about it figuratively. It isn't a tradition for the men to get the fiancé an engagement ring. This just got popular here recently. Usually, they both get their wedding bands and wear them on the right hand till the wedding. Legally, I'm sure there are differences between my country and the US, but marriage pretty much affects the same aspects of our lives. Even roommates have contracts, their names on a lease or something. I don't have any legal ties to him right now. I understand some people can live together for many years without it. But for me, this is important to feel secure about our future together. About kids. Since the beginning I knew I didn't want any, and he didn't have a strong opinion about it, and was okay with anything I decided. We still talk about having kids to check on each other, and see where we're at on this matter. I've been having second thoughts, and he is still on board if I decide I do want to. But that's not the reason I'm upset. I'm not married after 8 years together. I haven't asked him directly if he wants to get married, and why recently, so I haven't gotten a straight answer since a few years back when it was a no. I've been just casually touching on the subject to try to get a glimpse of where he's at. And he seems positive, acknowledging that we are in a much better place now that we worked on those issues. So after reading all the comments that I really wasn't expecting to get, I realized the next logical thing is to have a direct and honest conversation with him. I just need to figure out how to approach it. We have a big trip coming up next month, so I'll probably wait after that. Thank you all so much for your input and advice. I appreciate all perspectives. Comments. Comment 1. Bluntly put, you can't make him do anything. Confront him and have an honest conversation about it. You want marriage, full stop. If he doesn't, then you're better off walking away. Comment 2. Exactly. It really comes down to whether both people want the same future. You can't drag someone into marriage. It has to be mutual, otherwise resentment just grows. Comment 3. Go check out r/waiting to wed. OP. Never knew of this sub. Seems like I fit right into it. And from a quick glance, I know I've been waiting for longer than most people there. This should be my wake-up call. Update. I debated posting an update, because now that everything is resolved, I feel kind of silly about posting in the first place. But maybe this can find someone in a similar situation and help. I should add that I am an overthinker and anxious person, and this is probably why I got here in the first place. After 8+ years of relationship, I started doubting our future only because of the lack of initiative on his part. And it's like all the algorithms decided to feed these feelings with similar stories that didn't end well. So I started overthinking everything and basically ignored all the signs that we were doing great, like his constant reassurance that he loved me and was happy with me, and when he would look at me with mesmerized eyes while just going about our daily life. I felt so loved and cared for. But the lack of a proposal had to mean something was wrong, right? A week before our big trip, while introducing the topic of marriage, trying to start a conversation like I was advised here, he was really dismissive, trying to change the subject, and that sent me spiraling down on anxious thoughts. When he realized that hurt me, he immediately backtracked, started apologizing, and said that he was only avoiding the subject because he had something planned and wanted it to be a surprise. When asked on other occasions, months before, he had confirmed his intentions of marrying me one day, but this time was different. It was enough to lift any doubt I had, and I also didn't want to ruin any surprise, so I dropped the subject. Then, as expected, during our trip, in a beautiful place, doing what we always loved doing together these past 8 years, he proposed. It was one of those moments that I felt really seen, like everything was thought out to make me happy, without me having to ask for it. He even managed to record it in the most unsuspicious way, so I'll always have something to remember it. So this update is to say that every relationship is different, and every life has a different timeline. There isn't any amount of years that automatically tells you the other person doesn't want to get married. Obviously, I'm not saying to ignore any signs, but you have to look inside the relationship rather than compare it to others and seek external validation. Even though most comments on the original post went in a different direction, I probably wouldn't have started that conversation with him when I did, and wouldn't have been so relaxed during our trip when he proposed. So I appreciate you guys for that. Comments. Comment 1. Congratulations. As an older married lady, I live by the rule, while the proposal can be a surprise, the answer should not be. You two should already have hammered out yes. We would love to get married and live in XX, and have YYY kids and grow old together doing ZZZ. The time-place of the proposal that can be a surprise. Under the Eiffel Tower, at Sleeping Beauty's castle in Disney, at the bowling alley where you had your first date that can be the surprise. But both of you should already know the answer. Comment 2. Right? After 8 years? I would think so, too. Comment 3. Congratulations. It's great to read some good news on here. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.